So in this video, I just want to take a moment to sort of talk about the differences between the fallacy of missing the point, the red herring fallacy, and the strongman fallacy, because these are ones that students often get sort of confused between, and they are kind of similar in a lot of ways. So let's talk about the difference between the fallacy of missing the point and the red herring fallacy. So both of these involve things that are they have a starting point, so a starting sort of problem or premise. It's like here we have crimes of theft and robbery are increasing at an alarming rate lately. This one, we have environmentalists are continually harping about the dangers of nuclear power. And then in both cases, the argument just sort of goes off the rail into things that are irrelevant. But the difference between the red herring fallacy and the fallacy of missing the point is kind of when the argument goes off the rails. So this is maybe not the best example for illustrating it, but the fallacy of missing the point, where it will go off the rails is at the conclusion, okay? So you have, in this case, you only have one premise, but often you'll have several premises, and they're all sort of leading up to some particular conclusion, it seems like. And then at the very last minute, the argument will go off the rails and will make an argument, a conclusion that isn't supported by the premises, okay? Whereas red herring fallacy, what happens is that the argument usually goes off the rails pretty much immediately, like this one does. So right after that first statement, the argument goes into irrelevant territory. And then a conclusion will be drawn based on these irrelevant premises, and it will make it sound like they've concluded something about the original starting premise. So the difference between missing the point and red herring fallacy is that missing the point, the argument, the irrelevance comes in at the conclusion stage, and everything up to that is fine. And then a red herring argument, it kind of goes off the rails almost immediately. Now, the difference between a red herring fallacy and a strawman fallacy, so the commonality between them is that they both they start out with some statement, and then they immediately go off the rails. Both of them do this. However, the way that they do it is different. So in a red herring fallacy, they give you an original statement, and then the argument goes off the rails by then talking about some things that are usually slightly related, but not actually relevant to the original statement. Whereas a straw man argument, what will happen is that you'll have an original statement, and it's going to be an original statement of a particular kind. It's going to be stating that someone else has argued for something, and then it goes off the rails by twisting that argument. So that's the difference between the straw man and the red herring fallacy. It's important to not get confused between those three different sort of related in different ways arguments.